Welcome to Keto Meals and Recipes.com. Today's ice cream recipe is my dairy-free fresh mint ice cream. One of the really great things about this particular recipe is it does not require a machine. It's dairy-free, egg-free, sugar-free. In short, it's a vegan keto ice cream. And the great thing about this particular ice cream is that anybody can enjoy it regardless of your dietary preferences or restrictions. Although I really love ice cream in general, what I also like about the keto low-carb sugar-free ice cream is that it is actually an excellent way to increase the dietary fats, meaning that you increase the total fat for your meal. Before continuing with the recipe, I would ask that you please watch to the end because I'll show you how I serve this delicious ice cream with chocolate and make this into a mint and chocolate ice cream. The macronutrient ratio for my dairy-free mint ice cream is 6.3 to 1 with 4.6 grams of total carbs, 0.9 grams of dietary fiber, resulting in 3.7 grams of net carbs per generous serving. So to start with, in this recipe, I will be using my dairy-free sweetened condensed milk, which by the way will be the next video I post, so please stay tuned. The best thing is to make the dairy-free sweetened condensed milk about 1 hour before you want to make the ice cream, because you will need the full batch. If your dairy-free or coconut-based sweetened condensed milk is still warm after an hour, put it in the fridge for a little while. This has to be completely at room temperature before you use it for the ice cream. But don't leave it in the fridge too long. You don't want the sweetened condensed milk to harden. You really do want it just at room temperature. When your condensed milk has reached room temperature in the fridge, just take it out and leave it on the counter until you need it. As a good prep step, also put your ice cream storage container into the freezer until you need it. In this recipe, fresh mint is a very important ingredient. So you begin by just picking off the leaves from the stems and gather enough mint leaves to make about a quarter cup when you compress it tightly. If you like, you can roughly chop the mint leaves, but it's really not necessary. And then put it into your food processor or spice grinder, to which you also add 1 tablespoon of the drained coconut water from your coconut cream can and puree to a smooth velvety paste, and then set that aside for a moment. I should have started with this actually. The night before you're going to make your dairy-free ice cream, put the cans of coconut cream into the refrigerator and leave them in there until I need them. Doing this will harden the solids in the coconut cream and separate the solid and the water, which is the water I use to puree my mint leaves. Now, after draining the coconut water and setting it aside, empty the 2 cans of the drained full-fat coconut solid into your mixing bowl and whip at medium-high speed until you get to about a medium stiffness stage. Now is the time to slowly pour the room temperature dairy-free sweetened condensed milk. Continue whipping at low speed as you pour and whip for a few minutes. Then spoon in the mint puree and whip until well combined. The next step is completely optional. You do not have to add any food color. You can leave the ice cream this very pale green if you like, but I do have to admit I like to add a bit of the gel food color because I want a deeper shade of green for my mint ice cream. So I add about 1 or 2 dipped toothpicks of the Kelly Green Wilton food color into the cream mixture, then whip at low speed just until the gel color is well combined and the color is uniform. I'd like to emphasize that it's really important that you use a gel color and not a liquid color because you don't want to add water into this ice cream base. That's because the liquid will increase the crystallization of your ice cream, which of course affects the texture and makes the ice cream less creamy. Because my mint leaves were not as flavorful as I would have preferred, I'm going to add a little bit of mint extract to boost the flavor. The addition of the mint extract gives the ice cream that extra boost of flavor, and it completely gets rid of the coconut taste. I wanted you to know that because I know that some people don't like the taste of coconut, my son being one of them. Something I would like to point out in case you're wondering why homemade ice cream freezes into a solid if left in the freezer for a day or 2 or longer. The ice cream will freeze because home freezers are set to a much lower temperature than that of ice cream parlor refrigeration units. That's one reason. And also because in your homemade ice cream there are no gums and other additives which are usually standard in commercially made ice creams. You may have noticed that I have not added chocolate chips to my ice cream. But if you really like mint chocolate chip, this is the point where you would be adding the chocolate chips, and you would add about 1/2 cup of your favorite chocolate chips, or alternatively get a chocolate bar and just chop it up into small irregular pieces. Add the chocolate chips or chocolate pieces in and fold them in gently. I will not be adding chocolate chips to my ice cream at this time, so I'm going to scoop the ice cream into the pre-chilled container. Before putting the container in the freezer, I like to cover it with cling wrap and then seal with the lid. Let this ice cream freeze for several hours or until the mint ice cream is at the degree of hardness that you like when you scoop it. I find that it takes about 4 to 6 hours in a shallow container for my ice cream to get hard enough that I can scoop it nicely. This ice cream can be stored for several days in your freezer, but I find that I prefer it the same day that I made it. However, if your ice cream has been in the freezer for several days and it's frozen solid, there are several ways you can fix the texture. One way is to cut up the ice cream into cubes and place the cubes in a blender or food processor to puree and break up the crystals. Do this just before serving. A second way to deal with frozen ice cream is to take it out of the freezer and put the container in the refrigerator for about 3 hours before you're ready to serve. And my last suggestion is to take the container out of the freezer, place your container of ice cream on the counter so that it has about 30 minutes or so to thaw. As I alluded earlier, how you serve your ice cream is up to you. I actually love the taste of this mint ice cream so much, I serve it as is. And as I suggested earlier, you could have folded in the chocolate chips already, or if you haven't done this, you could sprinkle a few chocolate chips on top of your scooped ice cream. But my favorite way to add the chocolate is to prepare my chocolate truffle mixture, let the chocolate truffle sauce come to room temperature, and drizzle about 2 tablespoons on top of the ice cream. If you are vegan and you want to make my chocolate truffle sauce, just substitute the dairy cream I use in the recipe with either coconut cream or the reserved coconut water, and then just continue with the rest of the recipe. I will provide a link for the Keto Chocolate Truffle Fat Bombs and the sauce in the description below. As you may have noticed, I have made several different flavors of ice cream over this past spring and summer, but my husband tells me that this is his absolute favorite so far, so I hope you try it. If you like my recipes, and especially this one, please forward it to a friend. This really helps my channel a lot. Lastly, I would like to mention that I do have a Buy Me a Coffee donation button in the description below, and if you're so inclined, I'd appreciate a coffee. Your contribution helps with the purchase of ingredients for these recipes. Regardless if you make a donation or not, thank you very much for watching my video, and please come back and check out the next posting or any of my other previous videos. The link for the printable dairy-free mint ice cream recipe will be posted in the description below.